Let's try this. We'll do this. You know this? Yeah, you may already? Yeah. Have your fingers like this with the thumb tucked in. Now close in. Yes, that's the position you will be running through your leg here. Up, see here. Let it rest on the knee. And then with some force, push it through the leg, up, and then we first go right, like this, with the left hand with fist under armpit. Now bring this hand here, block this, and then we'll breathe in through the right, breathe in and out, both through the right nostril, okay? Yeah, 3 times. Now the hands back on the knees, like this, pull, and then we go left, with the right hand under the armpit, with the leg blocking this. Now we have the left, so we went left, we have the left nostril open, we'll breathe in and out 3 times. Now with both hands in the same position, resting on the knees, we'll be breathing in and out through the both nostrils together. Breathing in, starting with with the hands either in that same position or with the fist open, resting on the knees, or in the usual meditation posture. We'll now slowly adjust our breathing to the natural rhythm, breathing in and out through the nostrils, adjusting at our own pace, at our own convenience, slowly come back to the natural rhythm of breathing, in and out through the nostrils. As we do so, try to rest our attention on the breath. Slowly adjusting to the natural rhythm of breathing, letting the breathing happen on its own, in its own usual, regular, natural way, without our having to impose any force, strength, rhythm, vibration, none of that. Don't expend any exertion on how you breathe. Let it be just the natural way, how it is going to be, how varied, different it might become around between the rounds. Let it be just as it is. And as it happens, rest one's attention on the breath, filling the mind fully with awareness on this singular present moment, natural activity of breathing. by feeling the sensations of the breath at the entrance of the nostrils, inside the nostrils. Every time we breathe in and breathe out. Look for a combination of focus, clarity, freshness of approach, infused with a sense of delight in doing it. And then staying with the breath, one breath at a time, round after round, until you have lost it. In which case you merely acknowledge that without making any fuss about it. Just remember to come back to the breath and start over again. Now, as we breathe in naturally, we will notice the breathing, the in-breath for in-breath, making a mental note that this is in-breath, this is out-breath, and with each round you count 1, in-breath, out-breath, 2, like that. Make sure you do not mistake or take these too relaxedly. Do not take this too relaxedly. Make it a point to make the mental notes correctly. In-breath for in-breath, out-breath for out-breath, and counting each round of that with one number progressively until 10. Try to stay on the course without filling the mind with any other reflections to the extent possible, but the breath. Let's begin that. You want to lose track of the count, start over again. Now slowly we will shift our focus from the breath to that of ourselves. Just try to feel or have a general awareness of oneself, one's body, without particularly focusing on any specific part of it. Just try to have a general sense, general feeling, experience of the body, sensations in general at this point. Now, as though dropping in, try to feel oneself from inside out, from inside of oneself. Register the sense of I, sense of presence. See if we can invoke a sense of oneself, I. Let me help you. I'm talking of you. You. Over there. Right here. See if we can ever manage to have a clear sense of I. If so, what does it feel like? Does our body appear in there? Does the sense of I look any different from the body? Do they alternate in appearing? Or does the body ever appear within the framework of the conception of I? Nonetheless, we are all sure that I exist. Not only that I exist, that I am here and now doing meditation. See if we can find that I, locate that within ourselves, or if at all, outside of us. Surely I, if at all existing, should be within the bounds of the body, not outside of it. Let's now try to see if we can locate it in any of the constituents of our being, taking the traditional stand of its composition along the 6 elements. Let's now take the earth element of our psycho-physical composition, namely that of the physical body. Can we identify that with the flesh, bones, nerves, skin, blood, the compositions within the blood? Can we identify ourselves with any of these individually or collectively? Are we our body? Let's now move on to the water element of our composition. Blood, saliva, sacred fluids, our urines, limbs, hormones, anything that we can think of. See if it can be identified with that part of the composition, the fluidity part of our psycho-physical composition. Let's now move on to the fire element. Maybe associable with our metabolism, the temperature, the heat of the body. Catabolism, anabolistic components. Let's now see if we can identify it with the breathing, with the air components of our being. The respiration. What about the out-breath, the in-breath, the gaps in between? Other gaseous components. Let's see if we can identify it, or we can find that within the space component of our being, the spaces between the different systems of the body, intra-system, inter-system, intra-organ system, intra-tissues, within the tissues of different organs, the cells, the molecules, the atoms. Finally, let's see if we can either locate it or identify ourselves as a person with a consciousness component of our being. Primarily, it is composed of sense consciousnesses, mental consciousnesses. Sense consciousness are 5 in number. Could be associated with any one of them, or all of them collectively. What about the mental consciousness? We could think of valid mental consciousnesses, invalid mental consciousnesses, mental consciousnesses in the form of doubts, in the form of misconceptions, in the form of emotions, affective components of it, cognitive components of it, either with any single one of them or collectively. Can we say if any one of them is I, that is the I, that is John, that is Dadul, or the collective part of it, the collection of it? Are we the mere collection of these components? If so, then how is the collection composed of? Mere matrix of many parts that you cannot pinpoint as something special, something particular. Reflect on this. See if we can individually come to agree from among these components any one singular part that we can identify with ourselves, or the collection of it. Is the collection yourself? Collection might be the possible option. If so, how compatible is this position in terms of when we speak of seeing somebody, seeing oneself, thinking, doing? Is this the collection that is doing? Is this the collection that is necessarily seen when we see each other? For us to remain, for us to continue, do we necessarily have to have these collections intact? Could we lose some part of it, yet still continue to be us, ourselves? Where is I? Surely I is there. I am here doing meditation. So are others. Who is this? What in the collection of the compositions is the I? Or is the collection I? Let's now take 3 rounds of deep breath, breathing in through the nostrils and out through the mouth this time. As we do so, let's again bring our focus back to the breath. Let's begin with the in-breath. Once again, slowly come back to the natural rhythm of breathing, adjusting to it at one's own pace and convenience. breathing in and out through the nostrils in one's regular, usual, natural way, as it happens in however way it needs to happen naturally. We try to stay aware of it at the nostril, inside the nostrils. Every time we breathe in and out. Once again, we try to bring to bear in this meditation the qualities of focus, clarity, freshness, and enthusiasm, a sense of delight, so that we could stay consciously, if possible, constantly aware, in touch of the breath, as it is happening naturally. We will once again return to the question of I, identifying who I am, what in the composition of our being is I, but from a scientific approach by using the systems. Let's now take those systems out of the 11 systems which associates more or less with the earth element of our being, namely our integumentary system composed of the skin. Being a system, it is composed of, if I may say, organs or smaller parts of it. They in turn are composed of tissues by cells, by molecules, by atoms, by even smaller particles within that. See if the integumentary system in its totality and parts thereof can be identified with self. Is that I? Is that part me? Likewise, let's take the muscular system, the organs behind it, the tissues that compose it, the cells within the tissues, molecules, atoms, even smaller particles of it. Does the muscular system or any part thereof stand a chance to be identified with self? Let's now move on to the skeletal system, composed, as they say, of 106 bones, joints. Which among them? Larger, medium, smaller bones. We be that in any part of the body. Could any one of them, or the collection thereof, be identified with oneself? So that exhausts the list of systems that may be associable with the earth element. Let's move on to those that may qualify for the water constituents, the endocrine system, the cardiovascular system composed mainly of its blood components, the excretory system, including the urinary system. See any part thereof or collection, either individual systems or these systems together, stand a chance to be identified with oneself. Is the collection the self, part thereof the self? Let's now move on to the systems that may be associable with the fire element, the digestive system, the organs, the system as a whole, the organs that constitute it, the tissues that constitute the organ, the cells within that, the molecules, the atoms. What about the reproductive system, the immune system? Carry out the analysis like before, at their macro level as well as micro level. See if we can find, pinpoint any part of it, of the collection thereof, that stands a chance to be identified with oneself. Let's now move on to the respiratory system, associated as it is with wind element. Is the system as a whole, the self, the part thereof, the organs within the respiratory system, including the windpipe and other parts of it, the lungs. The tissues that make up those parts. The cells, the molecules, the particles. Now in the Western system we do not as such have any system identified that would accommodate the space parts of our space component of our being. Let me call this temporarily the spatial system. The spaces within the systems, the foregoing 10 systems, or one could include the nervous system also. The spaces within the system, between the systems, the spaces between the organs, across the systems, however small, wide openings may be, between the tissues, among the tissues, across the systems, the cells, the molecules, intracellular space, extracellular space, molecules, even smaller particles, intra space, the inter space. Can we say, if the space within our composition, be that the entirety of them, all parts thereof, at a particular location, could we identify that with ourselves? We're now left with the nervous system. It's composed of the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. This system, which may be associable with the consciousness part of our being, let's look if we could succeed in finding, pinpointing something that could stand the chance of being identity of ourselves. What about the brain or the spinal cord that constitutes the central nervous system? Any particular lobes in the brain? Any of the two hemispheres? Cerebrum, brain stem, any of the activities within it, the firings, the neurons, the synapses, any singular of that, or any collection of them, any part, the memory part, the cognitive part, which are all spread over. By the way, where is the consciousness? Is it the electrical impulses there? The chemical reactions there? The firings that take place between the neurons at the terminals of the axons? If so, which, or when, or where? If the mind or consciousness is the mere property, emergent property of the brain in terms of the action potentials being fired between neurons, which part of it, when, where? Let's take the spinal cord into consideration. Any part of the spinal cord that runs from the brainstem down all the way, any parts of the nerves attached to it, the motor neurons, the afferent neurons, neurons that bring in signals from outside, or that bring signals from the brain to the different parts of the body, be that motor neurons, motor signals, or other signals. What about the peripheral nervous system, mainly composed of the nerves? Be that the cranial nerves or the spinal nerves of varying lengths, spread all over the body, Can the nerves by themselves collectively be identified with self? Or any singular instance of it stands out to be identifiable with the self? What is the self? Where is the self? Is it again the collection? Does that mean that the self, as at least as a human being, necessarily have to have all these systems complete, intact, fully developed? Where, when during our development we become selves? Are we selves or beings, individuals, right at the time of conception? After that, when we are born, yet our bodies, particularly the brain, not fully developed, or any part of it, or the collection thereof. Who is Dadul? What is Dadul among them? Is Dadul outside of them? Is oneself outside of it? Or within it, as a core? If so, where? We have exhausted the whole list of systems that make up a human being. Very possibly we could be the collection. If so, within the collection, mere collection does not stand a chance. Things could be a collection but with no organization. What about the collection of the parts in the organization, in the organized way as we find it? Does it stand a chance to be identified with self? With this question in the background of our mind, let's now slowly come out of the meditation, opening our eyes or lifting our gaze at our own pace, at our own convenience. Have we been successful in the mission? We exhausted all the list of systems, right? Unless the scientists come up with the 12th system. Now the question is the collection I? Very possibly, collection. Of course not the individuals. We will explore into that. Okay, thank you. Yeah.